This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Friday, June 18th. I'm Jeff here with Erica and Brandon. Reunited.
And it feels so good.
Haven't had you guys on in a while together.
I know, and it's a Friday, so anything could happen.
It's going to get nutty?
Yeah, it may.
All right, we're going to leave that question mark. Okay, Brandon, I'm expecting big things. All right, guys, the Kardashians sat down with Andy Cohen for part one of their reunion special. And while they've been pretty open on their show for years, we still learned some juicy new things. So Kim revealed that her leaked sex tape with Ray J back in 2007 was a big reason for the show's success. I think we all knew that one. And she almost pulled the plug on getting married to Chris Humphries, but went through with it because she didn't want to be a runaway bride, or known as a runaway bride, I should say. Andy also pressed her on what led to her divorce from Kanye West. Let's have a look.
If I asked you point blank, why did your marriage not work? What would you attribute it to?
I honestly don't think I would even say it here on TV, but it was not like one specific thing that happened on either part. I think it was just a general difference of opinions on a few things that led to this decision.
And Kylie also revealed what led to her obsession with makeup and lip fillers. Let's listen.
I had really small lips,
Okay.
and I didn't ever think about it until I had one of my first kisses, and a guy said to me, "Oh my God, you're such a good kisser. We have such small lips," or something like that.
I appreciate, it's almost like they broke the fourth wall in a way, because they're really addressing what fans and people who have, been critical of them have been saying all these years. And although you're like, oh, of course it was the sex tape that made people interested in her story, we haven't really heard her say that.
You're right.
And also, Kylie's story is so interesting. I'm not a Kardashian fan, but I do have a lot of respect for people's hustles, and they have hustled for quite some time and been very successful at it. And I think that her story, Kylie's story, is an amazing comeback story for anybody who has been teased or bullied or felt less than, how she decided to take that and make it into an entire billion-dollar brand. I mean, that's a great story.
Yeah, Jeff, you love that type of stuff, right? Like,
I respect the Kardashians. You know what I mean? I might not necessarily be their biggest fans or watch all their stuff, but I do respect their hustle for sure, like Erica said.
Especially because you talk about it all the time, and it does go into your brand with the comeback as well, Erica, how you're like, we all go through something. And I understand that was a young age that she kind of had that trauma, but you just see a lot of successful people took a trauma from a young age and just built a brand off of it. And has dominated whatever field they're in, because there's one thing we were talking about the other day. There's one thing, let's say boxers, a fighter. Like, let's say you're a pretty boy fighter. You're good. You train in the nicest gyms. But when you fight that one kid from the favelas, from the ghettos, who it's like, this is what I had to do to make it out. That's what makes those kids successful, and it just breeds a different type of hunger in you.
Yeah, if you could bottle that somehow, or take all your misfortunes or things that you're insecure about and kind of use that as motivation to climb back up the ladder. Yeah. That's, I think, a little bit of what we're talking about here with Kylie.
I think to Brandon's point, a lot of, when you're talking about a lot of people do this, it's because most of the time when someone is coming at you or bullying you, so to speak, it generally is something different about you, and differences are what makes you special. So you need to really pay attention to what people are saying to you, because sometimes they're trying to get you to believe that the greatest thing about you is the worst thing about you.
Welcome back.
I like it.
We'll go for coffee later.
All right, guys. Caitlin Bristow is coming clean with some of the work she has had done on her face. So Caitlin appeared on The Bachelorette back in 2015. Recently, someone tweeted that they couldn't identify what changed about her look since she returned to co-host this season of the show. Caitlin replied with, quote, 6 years since I was on the show, brow lift, brow microblading, got my teeth bonded, some fillers in my lips, aging, darker hair, and finally learned how to contour. Oh, and I put on some weight. Very honest. Yeah. Very honest.
That's the way you do it. I mean, she obviously has worked through her issues in terms of her self-esteem. It's like not everything that people do to themselves has to do with necessarily low self-esteem. Sometimes it just has to do with the idea of, I want this to look different. I want to, make sure that I age this way. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I'm always saying, like, yes, when people talk about my teeth, I'm like, yes, they are veneers. If people talk about my eyebrows, I'm like, yes, they are microbladed. Like, I mean, what's wrong with just being honest about the things that you've done?
But when you're saying with that honesty, what were you? Yes, but when you're saying for someone like that, like a Kardashian or Sharon Osbourne, one of them, do you feel as though they're being bullied now to be transparent, or do you think that's something from just within the self?
Or Instagram culture.
Or Instagram culture.
I think it's both. I think some people feel so bad about things that have been brought to their attention over and over that they decide to change it. And then other people don't want to be transparent about it. The only time that I have an issue with people not being transparent about it is if you are, got your lips done and you're saying that it's this lip gloss. Like, don't mislead the public about what actually happened. Just don't say anything at all.
This is totally not on this subject, but I just looked up the ratings to see how they were doing, and the opener last year was 5 million viewers, and the opener this year is 3.6 million. Just wanted to put that
For
out
what,
there.
The Bachelorette?
For the Bachelorette, yeah, with the new co-host.
It's not surprising, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's been going that trend anyway.
I know. I was curious, just in my own mind. Maybe you were too. All right, Tori Spelling is opening up about why she and Dean McDermott sleep in separate beds. So, speaking on Jeff Lewis Live, Tori admitted that at the moment, Dean is currently sleeping in another room while Dean was away filming for 6 months. Tori said that she had the kids, they just got used to sleeping with her. Let's have a listen.
Since he left, he was gone for 6 months filming in another country. They all stayed with me. So I currently still have 4 in the bedroom with me who have yet to go back to their rooms. They have beds in there and 2 sleep in bed with me and pets and 3 dogs.
Listen, I got to tell you, having 2 kids, having a wife, sleep is very important. And when we first moved into our new home, which we moved into last March, we were sleeping in separate beds for at least 3 or 4 months because we didn't have a bed. We had our bed from our old apartment. The kids had one bed. So we were all over the place and we were working a lot of hours. And I need to get some sleep. I think it's healthy for a marriage. I don't think it's necessarily unhealthy, I should say, if you do this in a marriage.
Well, I'm
Y'all are the
married, but I
married
don't
ones.
have kids. I definitely wouldn't want to do this, but I am very reluctant to say what I would do as a mother because I don't know how that goes. That's why I turned my chair all the way to you. Like,
Yeah, I saw you guys go.
Wait a minute. Let me turn my chair to you because as I'm trying to get married and all, the sleep thing is a deal breaker. How 2 people sleep together and not sexually, like how you sleep together. Oh, I like it cold. Oh, I don't like it cold. Oh, you taking all the blankets. You know, like was that a deal breaker for y'all?
Erica Cobb's got an answer for that.
Yeah, because I think that people should invest in their sleep. And I mean, even if you can't necessarily invest in like all the gadgets and all the things, there are ways in which you can cohabitate and sleep together. My husband and I are very different sleepers. He has like barely wants to have a sheet on. I have the sheet, the blanket.
Oh, no.
I have the weighted blanket.
No,
and
Erica.
then yes, and then he's like peeling it to one side. So sometimes I wake up with like twice as much on top of me, and then it's like a whole thing. But then we do like the chili pad, and we do all of these other things to make it comfortable for both of us. So that's a very important conversation.
And I'm going to tell you for a little advice, if you have kids, don't let them get used to sleeping in your bed. We made a clear rule with that, but we did have the little ones, they get up a lot at night, but I'm telling you, don't let them sleep in your bed, otherwise they're going to be there forever, and you're going to be in the guest room.
All right. Duly noted.
All right, guys, coming up on DBL, we're talking to TV comedy queen Fran Drescher. Is a reboot of The Nanny really in the works? And the hot new summer trend, bikinis and boots? Stephanie gives us the style scoop next in Fashion Fix Friday.
Closed captioning provided by
Open a U.S. history book, and chances are its author will quickly point out January 1st, 1863, the date President Abraham Lincoln, with one proclamation, orders and declares that all persons held as slaves shall be free. What that same history book might fail to mention is what happened to these words once they arrived on the shores of Galveston, Texas, more than 2 years after Lincoln wrote them. In the 1860s, word didn't travel like it did now. And in 1865, months after General Robert E. Lee's surrender, word of the end of the Civil War had yet to hit the southern state and its 250,000 slaves. And then came General Gordon Granger's arrival in Galveston, June 19, 1865. And General Order Number 3, all slaves are free. Juneteenth was born. While Juneteenth celebrations continued to varying degrees in the U.S. for decades, it would take until 1980 for Texas to become the first state to declare it a holiday. Today, 47 states recognize it and the District of Columbia. A chapter of our history, for far too long left out of the books designed to document it. But no longer. Juneteenth, or as the National Museum of African American History and Culture now calls it, our country's second Independence Day.
Welcome back to DBL. I'm Stephanie Jones with the week's top style and trending news. This summer, we're saddling up to this hot bikini and boots trend, and you'll need to sit down for this week's What the Fashion moment, but maybe not in these pants. Let's find out more in Fashion Fix Friday. First, Bennifer, as they recently revived their relationship, and what also has gone the distance is their fashion. Some of their early 2000 looks are still very much on trend today, like this plunging halter dress that made her date look more like he's chaperoning the red carpet. And now that tracksuits are cool again, Jado looks perfect in pink, while Ben's dark blue jeans and white shirt is really just a timeless ensemble for the dudes. And how about their courtside style? Hoop earrings and white jeans? Yes, please. Even Ben's long sleeve under a t-shirt still works today. And no one's telling JLo to cut the cutout from her wardrobe. We see those everywhere today. And finally, remember the days before skinny jeans? They were filled with these fabulous flares, and they've definitely come back around today. Luckily for Ben, he doesn't need much, since anyone standing next to Jennifer Lopez will automatically look great. Next, you've heard of Hot Girl Summer, but how about Cowgirl Summer? Apparently the Kardashians got the memo, or maybe they wrote the memo. Either way, Kourtney and Kendall turn up the heat in their bikini and boot ensemble. And Dua Lipa is full-on country glam in her knee-high cowboy boots, gingham shirt and bikini top. Let's just say we're getting some serious Jessica Simpson, Daisy Duke vibes from this one. So this summer, get your cowboy boots ready for walking straight to the pool. And finally, DBL Nation, these legging trends should keep on walking with the legs they came in on. It's my What the Fashion moment of the week. Biker shorts were hot in a big way last year, although not the chicest, certainly more forgivable than these leggings. For anyone who likes the look of not wearing any pants at all, just throw on a pair of these tan leggings, because everyone knows anything flesh-coloured is by far the height of glam. Yeah, maybe for a prison uniform, but DBL Nation, the ultimate affront to fashion this week comes in the form of these booty-bearing leggings. Apparently, they never heard the phrase crack is whack. These peekaboo bottoms are actually a thing right now. And wouldn't you know it, but bad girl Riri is on board too, with her leggings that are strategically missing parts of fabric and even have an opening in the back for no reason other than just to say hello. That's it for your fashion fix. I'll see you around next time.
The Juneteenth flag commemorates the day that slavery ended in the U.S. The red, white, and blue banner with a bursting star in the middle is full of symbols, according to the flag's creator, activist Ben Haith, founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation. Let's start with the colors, of course, representing the American flag, and a reminder that slaves and their descendants were and are Americans. This curve across the width of the flag represents a new horizon, the opportunities and promise that lay ahead for Black Americans after freedom. The white star in the center of the flag has a dual meaning, representing Texas, the Lone Star State. It was in Galveston in 1865 where Union soldiers informed the country's last remaining slaves that the Civil War was over and they were free. Haith says the star also goes beyond Texas, representing the freedom of African Americans in all 50 states. The bursting outline around the star is inspired by a nova, or new star, according to astronomy. This represents a new beginning for all African Americans.
Welcome back to DBL. 28 years ago, the flashy girl from Flushing, Fran Drescher, brought Fran Fine to life in her unforgettable role in The Nanny. Earlier, she joined us to relive some moments and to give us exciting details of what else is in store. Take a look.
So, what's the green stuff?
It's wasabi. It's like mustard. Gives it a real kick.
Ooh, I love mustard.
Gee, you know that mustard really clears up the nasal passages.
Oh my gosh, welcome back to DBL. That was the iconic Fran Drescher in her equally as iconic role as Fran Fine in The Nanny. There she is joining us here today. Welcome, Fran.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Terrific.
I remember that scene so vividly, watching it with my parents who are huge fans of yours. And my dad had a thing with wasabi. He would always give wasabi to my older sister's boyfriends as like a trick to see how much they would cry. I know. So when you had the wasabi, my dad was like, I wonder what's going to happen to Fran.
What is it with dads and their humor? I don't get it.
I know, and I would have to say that literally I think it was the funniest scene of the series, and it's actually been compared, Fran, to the famous conveyor belt at the chocolate factory scene with Lucille Ball. So tell us, how did you get through that scene?
Well, you know, we did a lot of physical comedy on that show. Once we started, it became something that was anticipated in every episode. And we always had a good time inventing it, rehearsing it, and then ultimately doing it for the live audience.
I remember that episode because I watched religiously. And, you know, the thing about Fran, the thing about it is I was one of those kids, and I'm sure all of my co-hosts will be like, what? I was always, quote, doing too much. I was flamboyant. I always had a lot to say. And you gave me license to feel like that was okay. So I just want to thank you through your character, through who you are.
Color now.
Yes, it's just kismic. So, okay, of course, Fran Fine's style and, of course, her voice are one of a kind. But is it true that you'd pick Cardi B to play Fran in the TV reboot?
Ooh, I love Cardi B, and I think she's very funny, and she has a funny voice, too. So, you know, as we started to think, well, if we ever do a reboot, do we want to, you know, use the same actors, or do we want to just do a whole new cast and bring it into the moment? And so that hasn't really been decided. Actually, we're writing the Nanny musical right now for Broadway, and we got Rachel Bloom from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend writing all the lyrics, and she's brilliant, a real phenom. And so we're very excited about that, and we think that within the next 2 years, we should be opening with that.
Now, you have to explain how this is happening, because this is kind of crazy for a lot of people that do work with their spouse. But you and your ex-husband, Peter Mark Jacobson, still work together, and you're still best friends. And I think that's really cool. But some people might not know that he's now come out as gay after the divorce. It's Pride Month now. So what does Pride mean to you?
I lovingly regard him as my gay ex-husband. In my stand-up act, I talk about that a lot. But, you know, just yesterday, I worked all day. I had to do a lot of press because we're promoting the Fran Jam for Cancer Schmancer, which is this Sunday, Father's Day. I feel so blessed that I have somebody that worries about me. And it's probably why we're both still single, because who can compete with the history and love that we share for each other?
I love it.
In fact, Fran, this is really important. So before we let you go, we have to, and you just touched upon it, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more regarding Cancer Schmancer. You started it after surviving your own battle with uterine cancer, but you went misdiagnosed for 2 years, which is terrifying. And I know a lot of women, their story does not end up the same way that yours does because of the misdiagnosis. What do you want women to know based on your experience?
Well, you have to educate yourself on what the early warning whispers are of the cancers that may affect you. And then you have to pivot your thinking because at that stage, it's very easy to ignore. And we all have things that we think are more important. But that is the moment of truth when you have to retrain your mind to say, this is probably nothing, but God forbid it's something. I want to catch it in the whisper stage when it's most curable, because catch it on arrival, 95% survival.
So please support Fran's Cancer Schmancer movement by joining Fran's virtual music festival, Fran Jam, on June 20th. Visit cancerschmancer.com or .org, for more information. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
DBL is your daytime destination. Fully agree with this. We're chatting with the stars.
Have you checked in on Lori Loughlin?
You must have read my mind.
I've never felt better or been in a better place in my life.
I think the director yelled cut.
And talking about what everyone is talking about.
It's a real thing.
And I thought it was great.
I'm here for it.
Why is anybody surprised?
I tell you what, polarizing for sure.
DBL is all new every day.
This weekend, we get to celebrate our dads for Father's Day, but it almost didn't become a holiday. Let's connect the dots. The inspiration to honor dear old dad actually came from Mother's Day. A Washington State woman got the idea during a Mother's Day church service. She wanted to honor her father, who had raised 6 kids on his own. She got local preachers to dedicate their services to dads on her father's birthday, June 5th. Since that was so close to Mother's Day, they decided to give themselves some extra time. That's how we ended up with the 3rd Sunday in June. However, some dads were not on board. Since the day was inspired by Mother's Day, they thought it was too feminine. But word of that event began spreading and even made it all the way to the White House, where some presidents began celebrating. It still took years of convincing other lawmakers to make it official. In 1972, Congress finally passed an act officially making Father's Day a national holiday. And that's connecting the dots.
A bailout for Bezos? This viral tweet claims the federal government is attempting to give Blue Origin, a rocket company owned by Jeff Bezos, a $10 billion bailout. But is that true? Our sources verify this as false. Here's the scoop. NASA recently chose SpaceX over Blue Origin and one other company to receive funding for Artemis. It's the agency's program to develop a human lunar lander. NASA said they wanted to pick 2 companies, but they needed more money. In comes this Senate bill with $10 billion in proposed funding. While Blue Origin is a likely frontrunner for an Artemis contract, it's not guaranteed, and it would only be for a portion of the $10 billion. And the bill still needs to be approved by the House and the President. With your Fast Facts, I'm Ariane Till.
Welcome back to DBL. When it comes to maintaining your health, it's important to change your habits as you age. We're chatting about 3 things women should be doing after the age of 40 in Jeff Schroeder's mansplaining segment. I'm kidding. In DBL's Focus on Fitness, presented by QB. First, you should exercise. Physical activity builds bone density and strength. Second, don't eat like you did in your 20s because your resting metabolic rate decreases as you age. And third, take the right vitamins as you age. Your body needs specific nutrients like vitamin D, magnesium, and iron. Staying active is so important, and QB has made it easy regardless of physical ability or age. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-782-2351 or visit QB.com to learn more. Did you like that little?
Ooh. Yeah, the mansplain. No.
That's what it sounded like to me.
No, yeah, but at least you qualified it.
I qualified it. All right, guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday, same time, same place.
Thank you.